Hi, I'm Boris Blade. I'm the host of Strange But Harmless. You don't know me. How could you? I really barely know myself. Some people think they know me. Again, how could anyone? Who am I? What am I? I've seen things that would make most pagans cower. I know truths that would have gotten me stoned to death by Christians in days of yore. I have been places. Oh, the places I've been in my mind. Dark places, places of great joy, places of deep sorrow. I've walked across my own grave and couldn't tell you where it is. I've sat in the rafters at Blossom listening to AC/DC with an angel. To this day I can only suspect if he or she was of the light. It seemed to waver between male and female, or perhaps it was both at once. My eyes would not fully focus on the being. I've been in the presence of God and heard his voice speak promises to his people. I've had my bed guarded by a dark shadow figure as tall as the ceiling. As a lad, I seen dwarf-sized creatures, maybe of the night, sneaking around our hallway as my family slept when I was a toddler. Ghosts roamed our house as we grew into adulthood. We were raised by a man who I lovingly tell people could have been a terror had he been found by a different religion other than Christianity. God rest his soul, he literally died for his faith. He did the best he could have, raising us. I love you still, Dad. I didn't cry for you, just like you wanted. A mother who I always describe as best friends with God. She is the one who not only taught me that God really answers prayers, he answers all prayers. But sometimes that answer is no. She also handed down to me of her 4 children the ability to find 4-leaf clovers. Raised with a brother who once claimed Satan himself had visited him on our front porch, the same front porch of the home where lived a saint of God. My mother truly is good friends with God and sits with him in heaven at this hour. There, Satan offered to raise a legion of demons to do my brother's bidding. I raised the spirit as a teen to impress and scare my friends. I've called for a visit from a dead friend and received it just so I could scare a young lady I thought I loved out of getting involved with a man-child who would have very well led her soul astray forever. She cursed me that night for using his image. I once saved my best friend's life by shouting his name in a dream. Streetlights often go out as I approach them. God has stopped the rain when I've asked for it on numerous occasions, but only when my need warranted it. My aura wreaks havoc on electrical items at times. My first deja vu was at the age of 3, my last hours ago. I've lived on this earth for 65 years and never had a stitch that wasn't surgical until I was 63. And I've had 1 stitch and never a broken bone in my body. I've lived a blessed life. I've lived a cursed life. I've at times thought surely I must be the Antichrist, or at least one of many candidates for that role. All of these things are true. These are not the ramblings of a madman. And now some more about me. I'm not perfect. I'm only human. Now that I got that out of the way, who am I? The last time I sat and tried to answer that question, something took a hold of me. It turned out way different than I had intended. I've mentioned an introduction that got me booted from several metaphysical groups on Facebook. Actually booted from 4 and not even allowed to join 2 others. It is wild but true, and I finally grew a pair and shared it here. It was the first half of this episode. But that is just part of me, not all of me. My belief system crosses many traditional boundaries. If you knew all that I've seen and all that I've experienced in life, you would understand why I tell people that I'm strange but harmless. I'm a pacifist by nature. I give people the benefit of the doubt, oftentimes too much benefit and not enough doubt. Most times I'm vindicated in my beliefs, but not always. People are not evil. People do evil things, but they always have a reason. Even if it doesn't seem like a good one to you, you have not walked in that person's shoes. You don't know what pushed them to that evil act. Their reason does not make the act right, but it should at least spark some compassion in us. They may have thought they had no other choice. Just imagine the grief, anger, or despair someone would have to be feeling to actually take another life, to end a life forever. I find it hard to believe anyone could do that willy-nilly without contemplating what it would do to their soul, to their very being, how they see themselves in the mirror. I've been a loner from a small child. I remember at the approximate age of 8, walking back and forth on the curb that separated our driveway from the neighbors, muttering to myself, "You are alone, and you will always be alone. Even if you get married inside, you will always be alone," over and over again for about an hour. Oh, don't pity me. I was just a child. I had no concept of what it really meant, though in some ways it turned out to be true. Maybe it was my OCD showing early signs of control. You know, the repetition thing. When I tell stories about my past and mention bad things I did or witnessed growing up, I'm in no way bragging. I'm just being honest with you and myself. I've done bad things in my past. I've lied. I've stolen. I've done drugs. I've been to prison. Those things are not who I am. They don't define me unless I let them. If I strive to do better every day, I grow farther and farther from that person. I've paid dearly for the mistakes I made in the past. They stained my soul. I've done good things in the past. I don't feel comfortable bragging about the good. Believe me, in my opinion, the bad far outweigh the good. But my point is this. Every part of my past has come together to make me the man I am today. Without the bad to learn from, to feel guilty about, I'd have no concept of how to act good now. Without the feelings I get when I do good, I'd have no incentive to do good. I don't mind if all I get from helping someone is a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. I love that warm, fuzzy feeling. The chill, almost a thrill, when you realize you just touched someone's life, if only in a small way, it is so cool. Yeah, I know, I'm strange. I am an empath, and I know some of you will be Googling that term right now. I sense what others feel. In strong emotional situations, I feel what others feel. It's a gift, and it's a burden. I don't read minds. I can't control it at all. Maybe had I worked with it from childhood, I may have learned to control it, much like I did with my dreams. Even as a child, I could see a stranger, imagine being in their body, feeling what they feel, knowing what they know. It was weird. In my mind's eye, I would wear their face over my own. Or more accurately, I would feel my soul behind their face. It's hard to explain, and it was hard to imagine, especially as a small child, doing this to passing motorists on the way to church, not knowing it was something no one else I knew could do, not until adulthood, that is, too late to cultivate it. I'm a dreamer of dreams. What does that even mean, you may ask? Go ahead, ask it. I've had dreams come true exactly as I've dreamed them. It wasn't always so. As a small child, my dreams were strange, sometimes prophetic. My first recollection of using my dreams to help in real life was as a teen. I had a crush on a girl. She had a boyfriend. I knew she liked me too, but her boyfriend was older and could drive. Well, you know how teenage girls are. I didn't stand a chance, so I settled for the dreaded friend zone. It would have to be enough for the time being. We talked on the phone for hours at a time. We shared our innermost secrets, or at least I thought so. She got in a huge fight with her boyfriend once. At the end of it, she told him she was pregnant. Not knowing this, I called to talk to her and was told no, she's grounded. I was devastated. The next time I saw her in the only social arena she wasn't grounded from, church, she confided in me that she was pregnant and that was why she was grounded. I tried daily to call her to no avail. Then about a week into the ordeal, I had a dream, this dream. I went to the hospital to see her. She was being taken to the delivery room. I grabbed a gurney and was running down the hall shouting at her, "This isn't right. You aren't really pregnant." I woke and sat upright in a cold sweat, muttering to myself, "You aren't really pregnant," over and over. Well, it didn't take a genius to interpret that dream. I didn't even question the validity of it. I just knew it to be true. That day after school, I called again. When her mom told me she was grounded, I said, "I know, but please, this is very important. I need to talk to her." She must have heard the desperation in my voice. She said, "Okay." I had to talk fast. I told her I knew she was lying. I told her I couldn't tell her how I knew, but I did. She conceded the fact that it was true, but refused to tell anyone. She was afraid she would get in big trouble. I did my best to convince her, but when her mom broke in and said our time was up, I didn't think she would admit it to her mom. I must have gotten through to her because the next day she called me. She got in trouble. She got grounded, but hey, she was already grounded, so it was really no big deal. Now you know a little more about who I am, just a little. As always, I'm open to questions. That is how we learn from each other. I can learn as much about you from the questions you ask as you can learn about me from the answers that I give. Hey, that's some deep shit. Hey, I'm Boris Blade, and as always, I'm strange but harmless.